Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt, and it is the RYLA Routine, our weekly opportunity to check out some awesome folks from District 6110. And today we've got Bethany Wayne. What's up, Bethany?
Oh, nothing much, Matt. How you doing?
Great, 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 great. Thanksgiving week was here. Now we're on to Christmas, and all the awesomeness that brings. We talked to Piper last week, and she had a Christmas tree in the background. You've got a Christmas tree, but you've got a Christmas tree of things you created, which I think is really cool. What people may not know about you is how talented you are, unless they follow you on TikTok like I do. How
Yeah.
talented you are with your hands. Do you tell me a little bit about that, like with your Christmas tree, like since it's there?
Oh, yeah. So I love Harry Potter. It's like a big thing in my family. So that's definitely the tree theme. I've got my garland is Harry Potter house scarves that I crocheted in like a giant loop. I crocheted the top of my tree. It's a sorting hat. I've used my Cricut and made some like custom Harry Potter themed balls on my tree. So I love it. I love it a lot. I've made like some of my favorite critters from the show, and I just took like all my little mini Funko Pops my parents have got me. I drilled holes in their heads last night. I threw them up on the tree. So I love it.
That's awesome. So we talk about gifts and talents, and that is definitely a gift you have. I know the girls, you made stuff with the girls over time. The girls absolutely love it. So awesome. Well, hey, we're here to talk about RYLA. So straight off the jump, how did you get involved with RYLA?
Oh man. So back in 2014, I'm just walking down the hall of Adair High School, and my counselor hollers at me from her office and said, "Hey, in 2 weeks, do you want to go to a camp?" She said, "It'll look great on your college applications. I think you'll have a great time." And I was like, "Sure, why not? Got to help me for college." So, and I wasn't really worried about it because I'd done Girl Scout camps and kind of forgot about it. We ended up going to camp, and the ride there was definitely interesting with our Rotarian driver. Got lost a couple of times, but we
It's
get
kind
to
of hard
camp.
because Adair to Tahlequah is not a big trip.
No, it's not. It's just about 45 minutes, but if you go past that turn to camp, the road takes a 90-degree turn that's still
Right.
paved, or if you go straight, it's gravel.
Yep.
We ended up on that gravel and like it
Mm.
shook a little bit.
So you're
So,
from Adair. You're from Adair. Tell us. I mean, tell everybody because I know about Adair. What's Adair, Oklahoma? Like, what
ooh,
classification school is that? Like, how many kids you graduate with?
I graduated with a little over 50.
Okay.
Like not crazy. I think we fall in like the 3A school. I mean, but we also had a class 2 years behind us that graduated like 80. So, it fluctuates a bit. I mean, Adair's popular for being like the limousine cattle capital of the world. So we're a little bit redneck. If you like Grand Lake, we're the first turnpike exit to get to Grand Lake. So
Okay. So you're in school with 50 folks. Say, hey, let's go to camp. You had experience going to resident camp, so that wasn't that big a deal.
oh
You
no.
when you get to camp, like the Rotarian actually got you to camp. What was your impression of camp? Like, what was that as you walked through your camper year? Like, what did camp feel like?
So I literally opened up the van door and in shot a hand and a guy screaming, "Hi, I'm Kyle." And immediately I like jump back. I'm like, okay, he's a little excited. I can match that energy. So went to camp. I'm running through the tunnel. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like met with my group. We had a great tribe. Alex Bradley was my CIT. So he absolutely brought the energy for our group. And so I'm like, okay, I can do this. It's gonna be super fun. And I think one of my favorite RYLA pictures is me as a camper. I'm walking into RYLA Mania, like my face is painted, it's covered in red because we were the Red Barons, and I had like rocks hand signs going in, like, all right, we're about to win everything. And we did not, and I hated it.
But but Bethany, let me tell you this. I'll just stop you there. You do have quite the as a CIT, as a chief of
Yeah.
CIT, you have quite the level of excellence when it comes to winning things at RYLA, specifically RYLA Mania, the RYLA, the
Yeah.
amazing race. I mean, like you absolutely have figured out a way to will campers to win things at camp.
I always made the joke when I started talking to Rotary clubs after my last chief year, you had to retire me after I won the triple crown of all three main RYLA events. So, because
Yeah,
I do not like to lose.
no doubt. So camper year wasn't it. What else about your
Yeah.
camper year?
I really loved all the activities. Lego communication. I'm like, okay, I'm the best at building Legos. Let's do this. And it was super frustrating when you said we couldn't talk. and loved our drive times. Basically, they said like, hey, we need to come up with something. I'm like, all right, I'm your kid. If you got a problem, I'll solve it. Until we get to paracord night. And I'm literally holding this paracord. And I just got so defeated. I'm sitting crisscross applesauce with my hand straight up going, if you would just unblindfold me, we would get this knot untied and we would win. And I was so mad. But like, I think there was even a point where they were talking about how to get the knot undone. I was like, that's not going to work. Like, just let me help you.
What,
So
you go to camp, you go back home. What makes you want to come back and be a CIT?
honestly, it was the lessons I learned not only from the paracord, but everything kind of comes together where it wasn't just about me. It wasn't, oh, Bethany knows how to do this. Bethany should take the lead and I should go do this. It was camp showed me not only do I have gifts and talents, but so do other people. And the best way to kind of help bring it out with everyone, like that facilitating, like I can take a step back because this person's got it.
Yeah.
And I never had to facilitate before. I'm always, I'll take care of that for you. Gone. So it was definitely showing me a different side of it. And the more I came back as a CIT and a chief, I just got to build that talent even more because I think regardless of camp, like I would have gone out and I would have been like, tried to lead in my organizations and tried to be a go-getter, but I would not be at the level of maturity when it comes to that and that knowledge of team building and working with others if I hadn't had that in 2014.
So you've been like, we get to camp here we go back to camp in October of 2024, and that means that you have been around RYLA for 10 years.
10 years and 10 camps with how we've doubled up. And
yeah, with everything doubling up, even with COVID, you've got 10 camps. And,
yeah.
And I think I talked to specifically starting with you guys that are on leadership first for a lot of these conversations, because I think it's amazing to see the tenure and the time frame and the commitment. And that's, really like, so why do you come back? 10 years is a long time. You've given, forget district conferences, forget that kind of stuff. You've given 50 days of just service, starting on Wednesday, ending on Sunday. You've given 50 days in the past 10 years, which that's a lot to me. You've given 5 days a year to something that actually you're not getting paid for. It's 100% volunteer. It's not easy work. Why keep coming back and doing that?
I don't get paid with money, but I'm definitely getting rewarded in other ways. I'm watching students come on day one who look at us like, I won't go through that tunnel. I don't want to do this. And watching them grow into stronger youths and going out there and making changes. Long story short, RYLA works. You can look at campers and, for people who watched Miami's RYLA conference, watching kids go, I met this kid in the fall, and when he went through the hardest time of his life, losing a parent, our tribe showed up at his mother's funeral. We stayed with him. It's watching these kids go out and be world changers, starting businesses and leading in their communities in their 20s. It's absolutely we're growing the youth of our district and making differences and changes.
Yeah, what's amazing is I've thrown this number out right since camp. 2,143 students have touched camp since 2012. When
wow,
that was the only shirt right there. That was the only shirt of the week, and it was everybody's shirt. I got the shirt on Saturday, and I remember the whole time, now we got to have a shirt for every day. I can't even tell who staff are because I didn't even know the kids in 2012, and so we get to a point where that next year, it's funny, sitting here, this is 2013, and it set the world on fire because we saw something. We knew there was something possible, and we knew what if we really invested in this thing, we knew what camp could be. It wouldn't just be 4 days of camp, right? It would be the investment that you're talking about this, in Miami. It would be knowing that it's not just going to be 4 days. It's going to be somebody going and being a, future leader in business or a future leader in their own creating a business.
Absolutely.
And I think all of that is paramount because it's absolutely a huge piece of that. when you think back over 9 years, right? So we got 9 camps because 10 will be coming up. Over 9 camps. Like, give me like some like, I'm not gonna give you a number, but like give me some like top RYLA moments. Like when you say, you know what, like if somebody said, tell me like your favorite moment at camp. I know you won't just have one because I know you like give me
Absolutely.
like some great moments at camp.
Man, I won't lie. I will save my best one for the last bit of this, but it's watching a student that I had like in my last chief year coming up to me like, hey, I'm really not about all this. Can I just hang out in the group and just not participate at all? He's like, I was forced to come here. I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you can chill. Like, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I want you to be as included as you feel comfortable. And I mean, that's day one. That's Thursday. And Thursday in RYLA Mania, everyone's like, the whole group has to be involved. And he lands like that first tennis ball in the bucket, and the group goes wild. And you kind of just see him look at him, and he starts like letting down his guard just a little bit. And then the next day, we're at low ropes, and he's like, I'm not doing this. And I turn my back for a second, and he's up on the 2 cables at V, and he's just getting a little bit more engaged every day. By when the last day when he goes over that wall, like he's didn't have to push him, he's jumping over it, and it's just like I love watching them open up by the last day, especially when I was like, nope, I don't want to be here. It's not for me. And watching that impact change. My favorite is like my RYLA scar on my hand that I cherish with me these past 6 years. A girl going down the trust fall, like, okay, just kind of hold my hands as I'm going. Don't let go. I'm like, I'm not going to let go. And she leans back, and I do let go. And she reached for me, and she cut me with her nail. And I wear this scar with honor. But, it's just crazy because stuff that was like big moments for me as like a camper, like I left camper year being like, I want to be just like Alex Bradley when I came back my CIT year. So I'm like, I'm going to be the life of the party. Like, I'm going to teach chaperones how to line dance at the dance party. Like, I'm going to bring it. I'm ready for this. And, I'm pulling kids in who are standing on the side. And this is back when the sound booth was still outside. And I see a guy in one of like our staff shirts, and I have no idea who he is. And he's sitting with the camper. So I'm like, come on, come dance. And, he kind of gives me like this little dance move, but he's staying there with that camper. And then he kind of brushes me off. I'm like, why is someone here in a leadership shirt, like in a staff shirt, and they don't want to be the life of the party? That makes no sense to me. And so I go off on my way, and, I go back to being life of the party Bethany. And, I start working residency camp that summer, and I start seeing it again. I'm there to be the life of the party. I'm leading little kids this time. And, I still see these same people just leading from the back, staying back. I'm like, I don't get why they're doing that. But then you see them be the life of the party. And it kind of gave me this perspective that I started noticing my chief year was, it wasn't needed at that moment. That year when I was a CIT, there was over 50 of us coming back, and we were fired up. We were living. I just still remember us all trying to fit on the stage for our first meeting, and then us fitting in your cabin that year. It was raining, but we're all there to be the life of the party. We were bringing it. And then you see this chief investing in a kid because that was what camp needed. Yep. He didn't need to be the guy with the other 20 people of his tribe with that group. He's standing on the wall with this one kid. And that kind of changed my perspective of camp for me. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to be the life of the party. It was, okay, my job is whatever camp needs. Does camp need a chaperone? Boom, I'm your chaperone. Yeah. Does camp need me to stand on the table at breakfast to make everyone wake up before we go into passions and shields with Ron? I got this. Yeah. But that was like a big RYLA moment for me. And I just even shared that at work like a few weeks ago of, seeing that back in 2015. And it took until, 2.0 of 2016 for that really to hit me of what that meant. And then it affected how I've looked at camp ever since.
So you mentioned a little bit about resident camp, and I must go there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite moments of camp, some folks would understand, so my role in the YMCA over the past, and understanding that for a while there, I had quite a few of you guys that were running into Camp Takatoka and working for us at YMCA summer camp, and seeing Rowdy do the hat skit by himself. The hat skit coming from Takatoka to like bring that to RYLA to where it's like the thing now that's like, I mean, I definitely think it's an unsung hero when it comes to the tribe challenges and comes to adding something in there that's just a little ridiculous. But seeing Rowdy do that, and I know Rowdy's an Adair kid as well.
Yep.
Seeing Rowdy do that by himself, like seriously, maybe one of the most just wholesome, enjoyable moments of camp that really had no purpose other than to bring joy. And he did it so well. And you do the hat skit so well too. So I think that it's definitely an Adair thing, but I also want to take it as it's a Camp Takatoka thing.
Oh, it's a wide for sure.
It's definitely a different level when you see it done at Camp Takatoka and you're trying to entertain 8 to 12-year-olds versus trying to entertain 17-year-olds.
Oh, absolutely. I just watched that video of Rowdy doing it all by himself on my phone the other day because it's still just one of the funniest things. Like, we do it every year. I love everyone who does their own version of it, but nothing beats that first time. Man, it was priceless.
No, we may have to, like, you know, I'm gonna send by now everybody's already got it because today's Sunday, but I'm gonna send out I sent out a Thanksgiving kind of a gratitude email to whatever email I had for 2,143 students.
Wow.
I sent an email to all of them, and I don't know how we reconnect with alumni. That's a weird question for me. Like, because there's some of these guys and gals that did invest in camp, and like life happens, right? Like you stayed in the region, so like it's absolutely easy to plug in. But there's also folks that the pandemic, they went a different direction, or they said, hey, I'm going to be a CIT. I didn't come back as a chief. Or I just came to camp as a camper. And, at the end of the day, I had a great time. I just didn't come back and serve. And so, like, the whole time I think, like, I wonder if we could convince Rowdy 10 years later to come back and do the hat skit by himself. I don't know.
I'll still be texting him.
And would it mean the same? And would it mean the same thing? Would it have the same kind of impact? I think it would. With that, but yeah, the hat skit's one of my favorites, and I like when I think Bethany, I think the hat skit. When I think Bethany, I think of not just Bethany at RYLA, but I think of Bethany investing in kids at the YMCA as well. I think of Bethany bringing a kangaroo to the early childhood center at the Hutcherson YMCA, so these 0 to 4-year-olds could see a kangaroo that live in North Tulsa. Like, I think of Bethany that says, yes, I'll do that. Yes. That's awesome. Let's go. So I think what you're saying is 100% correct. And I will absolutely acknowledge and will absolutely appreciate the fact that you say, what can I do for you? And when I say, hey, here's what I need, like, we need media, like complete opposite role. Like, Bethany, I don't need you to lead campers or lead you to lead staff. I just show camp in a light that we can produce something that gives clubs an opportunity, that you and Aaron could do something that makes it so much easier for clubs to understand what RYLA is and how to send campers. And you guys knocked it out of the park. And that's another example of Bethany saying, tell me where you need me to serve. I appreciate that so much. So when you think about camp and you think about like takeaways from camp, what's Bethany's greatest takeaway, and how's that message relate to leadership? And it comes to, like, as an adult today, because you are an adult, as an adult today, and as a member of the E Club of the District 6110, like, what things that you saw at RYLA, like you've talked about some of these things already, but the things you've done at RYLA, of those, how do those relate to real world 2023, Bethany as an adult? What's some good takeaways?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of it just comes back to that foundation of you're put with 20 random people and you have to work as a cohesive group. So it's great team building. It taught me to be able to work with all types of people. And it's not just like they throw you into that environment. You and Ron Harris, you go through that with us. It's like, okay, who in your group is a fire? You go to the elements and you actually start learning tools to work with different types of people. You know, and especially in a world today where we can just be like, oh, I hang out with my group of people and my feed on Instagram or TikTok. Like, these are the people that I just get along with because we're the same.
Your algorithm exists beyond social. It's actually the people who you hang out with.
Exactly. It's more than just that. So when you're at camp and it's like, oh, these are my people. I like the other waters. We're cool. And then you have all these other opinions and different types of personalities. You know, we start breaking that apart from kids. Like, we put them in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation to help them grow. I mean, it goes back to agree, disagree, where for the first time, because I don't know if I just never had campers who didn't like it, but, you know, our first camp this year, there were girls in the bathroom just crying, going, I can't believe these people believe this one way. Like, they agree with this topic, and that's totally wrong. I'm like, okay, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we just start giving them these, just planting seeds of tools of working with other people, being put outside their comfort zone, especially in a world where kids don't really have to do that a lot these days. And it definitely helped me. I've worked with people, not just in northeastern Oklahoma. With college, I was able to go travel a lot of different places, meet with a lot of different people. And it definitely prepared me to be more flexible and being able to handle more diverse situations.
Yeah. What's your, if like you had a component of camp, what's your favorite component of camp? Is it agree,
Ooh.
disagree? Is it Lego? Is it paracord? Like, if you're like, that's the secret sauce. Like, what's the secret sauce of RYLA? Like, what's the activity where you think, like, man, that activity right there, that does a lot for kids?
So if we're going our activity, that's the secret sauce. It's totally agree, disagree. And I mean, 100%, I think it's agree, disagree just because of, you know, a lot of people could let that turn into a debate. The way we handle it, the way you set that up, that whole night, for me, it's the best night of camp. It's agree, disagree. It's your thumbprint. It's a new day. It's my favorite night of camp. That right there, the way we like wrap it up in a bow and say, here, take this and go out in the world. I love it. So one
What's
of my
crazy is
favorite
like,
parts.
that's like the 36-hour mark, right? And like,
Oh yeah.
I think of it like I mean, it's really like, it's like this road, this path. It's not a roller coaster, but it's like a path.
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation with somebody the other day. It was like, well, and it was actually a CIT. It was like, I now understand it. I was like, well, I told you guys at camp, like, there's a plan. Like, we have a playbook. Like, you don't show up at a football game, for instance, and not have a playbook. Like, you don't have plays. You don't just hike the ball and hand it to the same person every time. Like, everybody has a place to be. And when you go to Disney World, like them or not, when you go to Disney World, everybody has a place. Everybody has a role. And you talked about the role. And so when we think about, like, from the time we arrive until the time we get in the car to the time we get home, and we talk about affirmations, we talk about how many times can I touch people on social. I mean, like, it's a task, like, but ever since March when we walked out of camp for version 1 in 2023, like, socially we're hammered at every single day in some way, shape, or form, to really just have that added layer and that added touch. So when you think about 36 hours into camp, all of a sudden we say it's okay to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's told them it's okay to be you. You've been told how you're different. You've been told how you're, like, you go to Adair, so you're supposed to fit in the algorithm. You're supposed to go to college. You're not supposed to go to, or you go to a trade school. You don't go directly to work. Like, everybody thinks it's higher ed. Like, go down this path. In reality, that may not be the path for a kid. It may not be, it may not be going to college at all. It may not be thinking about college. It may be the military. And I think that, like, it's the first time we say it's okay to be you. In 17 years of your life, you've been shaped, molded, both with deposits and withdrawals. And then at that point, you get into Saturday, which is high ropes for some, and the wall, which is the first time in camp we put you as an individual with everybody elevating and lifting you up.
Absolutely.
Where it's all about one person. And then on Saturday night, we take all those elements, we get to paracord, and we challenge the team from what would be perceived as the weakest point of the team because it's not the voice to actually create unity at a higher level through paracord than any other activity we do at camp. Then we do the affirmations. And then it's Sunday where it's almost like, hey, we wrap this thing on a bow, but there's still the emotions of Saturday night with the team aspect that it's really stinking hard to walk out of there and not be like, I'm going to miss that. And so the whole pathway, I think, is really important. And I think that the first 36 hours, we do have to get to the thumbprint so that we can get to this other stuff. And agree, disagree, I think is, I mean, in my opinion, that and paracord are like this. I mean, like, because, and you can't have one without the other. Because agree, disagree shows us our thumbprint and shows us that I want to lead, I'm unique. And we've done all this great feel good stuff. And all of a sudden, the paracord activity is going to disrupt and be another wall in the process. So as we kind of wrap up, tell me, you guys have kind of jumped on this e-club. Quite a few of the leadership team have done that. When you've got now you're a Rotarian, right? And as a Rotarian, there's other Rotarians that we need, are probably asking, it's a challenge to get kids to go to camp. It's a challenge to connect with the school because there's turnover in the school or COVID created turnover. Like, what do you think are some tips and tricks as a Rotarian that, like, maybe you've seen in Adair prior? I know you've helped out in prior a little bit too. Like, what are some things that, like, if we're trying to serve more students, and that may not be quantity, but we want to serve the right students, what are some things that Rotary clubs could be doing to look for these students that October won't be here soon, but October is a ways away. What they could be doing to think about recruitment and things of that nature?
Honestly, I probably come at this with a little bit of a biased point of view because I'm coming from a household of 2 teachers, but it's trying to take the time to, even if you're going in there and giving the teachers lunch one day saying, hey, this is RYLA, this is what we need, who can you help me find that this would benefit? Or kind of not just tell them, oh, it's a leadership camp, be like, this is what RYLA is. It's that 3-minute video that we're making that's like our little advertisement, like, this is camp, this is what we're doing. Because no one's going to know those students better than their guidance counselors or their teachers. But also, if there's anything other than the secret sauce besides Saturday night, it's our youth leading youth. So I know we had a lull after COVID, but it's our CITs, it's our campers that came. I mean, Michael Addington, if you want to find like the best way to get kids at camp, he gives them a yearbook and he gives them a paper. It's a survey of what they loved about RYLA. Do they want to come back? Their contact information and 5 people they nominate.
Yeah. And
they don't just nominate their school. Michael says, I'm sending kids from blank, 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 blank. You know them, give me their contact information. And they list them all out. Because that's something different that I've never seen anywhere else. It's not just that we have college kids coming back. I mean, I was a high school senior leading high school juniors, growing and being able to relate to them with the topics we're talking about. So lean on the kids because, I don't mean this to be blunt. They're not stupid. They're great. And they're going to give you insight that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Yeah, you talked about Michael Addington. I completely agree. I think there's also a level of, like, be fearless. Be relentless. Mike Addington's relentless. Like, I mean, like, you go into a school, like, ask every teacher till you get the right teacher. Right? And like, do it as a staff appreciation and buy lunch for staff and just hang out there and tell people what you're looking for. I mean, Rotary, it's not a money problem. It's never a money problem.
Absolutely.
It's values and vision. And if we can put forth a little bit of appreciation to our teachers and at the same time get some students for camp, let's go. On that side, Michael's like, once we work through leadership, Michael's like the absolute person that I'm going to have to schedule time with because, like, Mike bought in early. I remember, like, Mike bought in right when I did. They weren't sending kids before Tracy and I took on camp. So I think we have a really unique opportunity to hear from Mike, and I could actually send that out to Rotary clubs and probably get a, hey, if you're looking at how to get kids, this is the dude. Like, not just rely on Mike, but like he's got a playbook. Like the dude's got, again, he has a plan. It's a path. So Mike's definitely in the path for getting to get on the RYLA routine. But I know we've been on here for a while. I appreciate you. I said that on the jump, like not just as a person with RYLA, but as a person, as I do with everybody. But specifically, I mean, you spent some time at Camp Takatoka with me with the YMCA, and I know I've seen you outside of District 6110 and outside of RYLA and outside of Rotary, and just love the fact that you want to say, where do you need me? If it's standing on tables, screaming and yelling, I can do it. If it's being media, I can do it. If it's, hey, I need you to, I can run to the store, I can do it.
Taco Bell, whatever.
Yeah, you're very willing. You're very willing to support the cause that supports people. And you say, this is the seat on the bus I need you in, and you're willing to jump into that seat. And I just love that, because there's a lot of folks who look at that sometimes and go, well, I just want to do this. And that's not who you are or what you are. And I gratefully appreciate that. So Bethany, thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up. Next Sunday, I'll get another member of leadership after this. But hope you have an amazing week as we enter the holiday season. Hope you have an awesome week. Stay blessed, and you are awesome. Bethany, thank you.
Thank you.